Hey guys, I've got an in-depth video for you today covering everything in my process of tiling this shower wall in this new designer bathroom remodel, from tiling tools to tiling bathroom walls. So let's jump into it.
Right guys, so now I've sorted out this floor, I can actually start some tiling. So I just thought I'd lay out what tools I normally use, just to show you a bit of in-depth. So obviously I have my levelling clips here, I use these Genesis G-spin ones. As we're using very large tiles, this will eliminate the lippage on them because big tiles are always bowed. I have my tile pinchers, set square, rubbing block, scraper, mallet, knife, cheap kids colouring pens, good for marking tiles as they don't stain, obviously my tape, and then 10mm trowel, 8mm trowel, 6mm trowel, scraper, and my normal trowel, and I have my levelling clips just set out there. I have various different sizes of trowels because if the wall isn't straight you can use a different size trowel on the back of the tile to try and eliminate how far out of level it is. So first things first, as these are a 90 by 45 porcelain, quite a heavy tile, so I need to spread the back of the tile and spread the wall to make sure I get a maximum bond because there's going to be a lot of weight on these walls. And talking about walls, Backerboard is the best thing. Porcelain tiles stick to it incredibly well. You will struggle to get a tile out without taking the wall off of Backerboard, so it's a must really, as well as the fact of the waterproof qualities in it. This is completely water resistant. It's also an insulator as well. Very good for waterproofing, very easy, just tape your seams, silicone your joints at the bottom. It's a great product to work with, very easy to cut. Right, so first things first, I always go around, put my level on the wall and see how it's looking. Now this wall is pretty good. I'll check it upright and across to see if there's any divots in the wall, and I'll identify them because that's where I know I need to put more adhesive on the wall. But generally, yeah, they're pretty upright and pretty level. If anything, it's tighter at the bottom and going out. So here I could use an 8mm trowel on the back of the tile and then go to 10 the rest up. That may just alleviate that little dip, but I'll check that a bit more as I go. That's the first thing to check when tiling. Adhesive wise, I'll be using a Bowflex one. This is a very flexible adhesive. It's got quite a good working time. It's ready to go out in 6 or 8 hours. I wouldn't really use any other adhesives apart from Bow or Curacoat. Like I wouldn't use Map I see that as more of a sort of DIY grout and adhesive. Bow products, Curacoat products are very good. Normally you know when you've got a good product because say with metal or plastic, once it's gone off it's really hard to get it off. Even in my big mixing bucket, which is obviously very squidgy, very flexible, when I leave Bowflex 1 in it overnight, it's quite hard to bang out, even by pushing in the sides of the bucket. So you can tell the grip levels that it has. So yeah, I would never use anything else on porcelain tiles anyway. Obviously with all adhesives, just read the instructions on the back about mixing and application. They're all pretty generic. They have a quantity of water you need to add and how much powder, and obviously use a mixer to mix it up to make sure you get all the air bubbles out and get a nice mix. And in my previous video I showed you the setting out. I'll just quickly show you here. So it's fully tiled around the wet areas on the plan, half tiled around the rest of the room and this big box in over here. So that was where our height was governed by, so it'd be a full tile down off that height, which is the green line going around there. So it's all set out and ready to go. I centered the recess for setting out. It's the center of a tile, and I've already cut my bottom cuts ready to go. That's the L-shaped shower cut, them two in there. That one's cut on the wood there, and I've even cut the socket cut for over there. And as I explained in my previous video, mitred the back just so when it comes into this corner, especially, it doesn't matter so much on this bottom bit because this is tile, but this isn't tiled, and you want the tile to be mitred so it has a very tiny lip there so it doesn't stick out when it's decorated. So that's quite important. And that blue line is where the tiles would come to once it's got adhesive on. You can see they come out further than where you think they would, but I'll show you a bit of that when I'm actually tiling it. With regards to the recess and trim, like with all my jobs, I will always put the trim so you only see the thin side of the trim, so the fat side's on the inside. So this means when you tile around a recess or a window, you'll be actually marking your tile that it's overlapped by the thickness of a tile, like this, and then the trim will slide into the top. So that's the same with all of this. So I wouldn't be, if I was using my trim the normal way, I'd just go to there if I wanted the fat shine, but every cut around this recess I'll be marking past it and slotting the trim and the internals afterwards. I'll try and show you with a bit of trim here what I mean. All the shower controls are chrome in this bathroom, so it'll be a chrome trim to match. So on this recess, I can put this bit of trim through, so I would tile over it like this, and that is basically how the trim would slot in. So you don't see the fat side, you just see the thin part of the trim. That just looks a lot nicer, a more of a design finish, rather than if I tiled it the other way, where I'd cut to the edge and the trim would sit the fat side up like this, which just takes away a little bit of that design finish. So yeah, so I'll overlap by a tile and adhesive on all the recesses. And that is exactly the same with the boxing as well. The trim will go on top of the tile here in the same way, and it would continue symmetrically once that's tiled. So it looks like it's one piece going through there. Okay, so now I'm ready to mix up some adhesive, and let's get spreading. So for this bow adhesive, it's 5.4 litres of water per bag. I'm going to use a big mixing bucket, as the tiles are very big. I'm going to use a lot of adhesive, so I will knock up a whole bag. Good thing with measuring buckets these days is you normally have the litres on the side, so I can just see where the water level is. Pour that amount into the bucket and mix them up. Then that should be about perfect. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'd say that's spot on. It doesn't fall off the trowel. It's still loose enough to move. So you don't want it too stiff, but you don't want it too sloppy. So somewhere in the middle. There we go. It's a nice big bucket for me to start tiling this row. And as I said, the wall comes slightly out at the bottom here. It's not massively, but I can lose it quite easily by putting 10mm on the wall and 8mm on the back of the tile. And then when I go up, I'll be doing 10mm on the wall, 10mm on the back of the tile, and that'll just even out the little bit of a kink that it's got at the bottom of the wall there. Okay, so I'll try and show you this the best I can without blocking the camera too much, but undoubtedly I will. Probably block it with that big bucket of adhesive straight away. Okay, so I'm just going to spread through here with a 10mm trowel. I'll just look to get the adhesive on the wall, then try and straighten up the lines a bit, so it's good for collapsing the adhesive. I won't spread over these two lines, I'll leave them a little bit visible so I can easily place my first tile, and that's in the place where it needs to be. Try and just leave a couple of millimetres away from my lines, just so I know where the tile needs to go. Use both ends if they're not on trowel. So it doesn't have to be too pretty how you put it on the top. You'll see this consistency of this adhesive and the quality of the adhesive. It doesn't create an absolute mess by slopping all over the place. It will stay where you put it. It won't fall off your trowel, so it's cleaner to work with. And now I've got a fair amount on the wall. I'll just go over and make it look a bit prettier and try and straighten up the lines. Try and make sure you use the full notches of the trowel. You can hear it scraping when you're using the full notches. You're obviously holding it on 45 degrees angle. There we go, that'll be fine for the bottom row. The reason that I spread the back of the tile with an ops trowel, not just back edge it with a flat side, is just because you still won't get the connection, because the tiles are so long, they're always bananaed when they're long. So you just make sure you get a really good bond when you have adhesive on both. It compacts, and you don't want these tiles going anywhere. So load up your tile. And yeah, my 8mm notch trowel. I'll spread it in the same direction as it is on the wall. Make sure you get all the corners as well, because they're all weak points. And it covers me for anything silver that I've missed on the wall, so yeah, works both ways. That's spread and ready to go. Let's get some spacers and wedges at the ready. Obviously the rough side of the cut's going onto the shower tray. So I've got my lines there. Give it a whack, give it a wiggle. I like to clean as I go. Adhesive is horrible when it goes everywhere, so. And then again, the walls don't have to be level. It's nice that they are level. On these kind of jobs I do, I have to really make them quite level. But if your wall's flat and it's at a level, then and it works for you, then that's fine. But for this, I'm going to make sure that my bottom row is good, which that's perfect, and then that sets the tone for the whole wall going up. Like I say, I knew this was out a little bit further than that, so should marinate it nicely. Get your wedges. You've got your line there. Drop them up. Put a rough level on this now. I'll level these up properly once I go through the whole row. With a big level, as a little level isn't going to be that accurate. And I always prefer to work with a level than my laser. Lasers I find annoying, as they're good for putting lines around, but when you're actually tiling hands onto a product, you can't just be at a level, put it on top, feeling and seeing it visually. Laser level with the 2 or 3mm beam, it's never going to be 100% accurate, and what you'll find is you'll use your laser level, then you'll put your level on top of it anyway. So yeah, once I've used my laser level for my lines, I generally, unless I need to use it for going around corners or something, use lines and level. So that's pretty good. So now I can move on to spreading the left one, then to get some levelling clips in the side, level it across the top. Spend a lot of time on this bottom row because this determines your whole wall. So don't rush it, make sure your line's good, you're good this way as well, and going up if you want to be level going up. And then once that row's in and level, you can literally just plonk on top. Obviously you keep checking for your level, you never know if something's fallen or whatsoever. But you've got a pretty easy ride once this row's in and level. Right, let's spread up the left one next, I think. Do this on a bucket, just to show you, yeah, you just want to see that. Again, 8mm trowel on this one. Good. Let's just drop that. I'll just show you with the levelling clips. I'll probably just use one here because two's a little bit OTT for the size of the cut, so I think one in the middle there should be absolutely fine. So again, I can see that bottom edge there just needs some more to make sure that's covered, and maybe a little bit more on the top, just as I'd rather do it now than take the tile out if it's not good. Sounds worse than it is. I'm always quite happy when that cut actually fits when I cut them, when I come to fix them. Probably could have taken a little bit more off the end there, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, again, get that wrapped relatively in place. Use my old face on the level there. It's pretty good for now. When I put a levelling clip in, I also like to use a spacer as well, just for assurance really more than anything. So I'll put the levelling clip in, then put the spacer in, and I can just make sure that I'm straight. If them two spacers are tight, then I know the tile's not out of alignment. But yeah, that's pretty good. Obviously you can do all this, you've done a few, but you can check it across. I mean, that's bang on flat, so happy days. Let's move on to this side. Put the levelling clip in now, as I'll probably forget later. Now I've got that tile in, I can just put some more in where I wanted to leave the lines of the wall to make sure I was in the right place. Clip in before I forget that, I can just put on the tile and put enough on it. And that one was just a simple L cut. You know, you would just mark the height of the tile to the floor and then mark it off the tray and take the notch out for that. You can just scribe for it, angle grind this little bit and use your pinchers to take it out. Pretty straightforward with an L cut. One of the easier cuts to do. Ready to go. Probably a bit beyond them holes. And then whack and wiggle. So let's just put a wedge underneath that. 6 mil. Perfect. That's where a scraper's handy. Now she's coming back home. Pretty good on first looks, the fun part, and then I'll use my big level now and start just making sure it's roughly level. Not too bad. Come up slightly there. Put my spacer in. I won't tighten these fully up until I've properly played around with it, but yeah, that's not too bad. I'll probably wave that in a minute, but that's pretty. I'll show you on there so I'm not pulling the wall over this, you can see. I mean, it's there, here or thereabouts. I may just bring up this one with the wedge slightly, but again, that's, you know, it's pretty much bang on level. but we can play with that a little bit more still. And going across, that's not too bad. That actually needs a little whack over there, but again, it's pretty good. And then I'll just show you the mitre cut in the corner. So I'll show you in the video me taking out the mitre of this tile, but it's pretty self-explanatory really, if I can get it on the camera right. Just with an angle grinder. You always leave a mil or two, because if you don't, then this edge will break. So you have to come in, I'd say 2 mil there, and then you just literally hold the angle grinder at an angle and just go straight through it. And that will allow me, on this angle, to get the tile tight to the wall. I'll also add just a little bit of adhesive to that mitre as well, just to strengthen it up a bit. Don't forget to put the leveling clip in. This mitre's okay, but I probably used to go in a little bit more. It's not too bad, but I prefer it to be a bit tighter to the wall, so I shall have a look at that, and I may just add 5mm to it, if not just cut it slightly bigger. Again, it's not so bad here because the tile's coming into it, so it's fine, but it's just when I get up to this side, I just want to make sure it's relatively flat to the wall, just so it's a nice finish with the decorating, as there's not much that's going to be going on here to bring this out anymore. So I'll have a look at that as I go, but yeah, I'm just going to spend a bit of time with the level, whack them about a bit, make sure they're all level, and then that is your bottom row pretty much done. Like I say, spend a bit of time on this row, get it all good. Then when you're working up, life's a lot more nicer. Once I'm happy with all of this, I will cover the shower tray up properly, because I don't need to get back down there again. I need to take the wedges out another day. But yeah, just make sure you cover your trays up and stuff, especially when you start working above. But it's just annoying with protective layers down when you're trying to put wedges underneath tiles and whatsoever. So yeah, I'll go around now, sort out, tighten up the leveling clips, and I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, they look like a nice tile, so it's going to be a nice one, this one, especially when I get up to the recess as well. I believe there's mosaic in the back of the recess, which should look pretty good. Right, I'll come back to you once I get onto the next part of the wall. Cool. So I've had a good clean up, I've added some protection to the shower tray, that's all good, nice and tidy over there. I'm ready for my next row. So now we're going to mark a spread line for our next row. So with space for a levelling clip, put it in the tile. We know our tiles are 45 centimetres wide, so we can just mark 45 there. Draw a level line across there, that gives us something to spread to for our next row. And if you've got any cutting to do here before you spread, like I've already cut this plug socket over here, it's good to have it done just so you can, you know, once you've spread you can just get your tiles on without having to go and knock up. Maybe your adhesive will go off a bit too fast and stuff like that. So yeah, it's good to have any holes, sockets, L shapes cut, so you can just spread and get the tiles on the wall. Actually use these white permanent markers for Backerboard. It's just a bit easier to see. Pen's fine, but when something is white on the board, you can just see it a bit easier. Mind you, they only last normally for a couple of lines. Sun's dying already. But it's good. It It's just a spread line. There we go. That gives us a line to spread the adhesive for the next row. Okay, so I've just spread a bit of this row here. I'm going to leave this cut out here so I can show you how I would mark it, notching into the wood here. So now, as I said earlier, I'm going to put 10mm on the back of these tiles from this row upwards from here, and I'll show you getting them stuck on the wall now. First things first, let's get our 11-inch rips in. As these 900s, I'll go for 3 here. Always come in about 10cm from the edge, and once you go in the middle there. Again, just to pull that bow out of the tile. That's good. Tiles will spread up with 10mm ready to go. So, let's go in. Same thing again, little whack, bit of a wiggle. Just get a good bond to the wall, collapse the adhesive. Spaces. And now when you start getting some more on the wall, this is where you can really start getting a level on the tiles and making sure they're straight. It's a bit more easier once you get a bit more of an amount on the wall. Yeah, nice. And these leveling clips aren't even tightened yet properly, well, mediocrely tightened, but already you can see there's no lippage here whatsoever. And once they're tightened, they make them ultra smooth. So yeah, you've got to use them with bigger tiles really, like I say, because they're just always curved. Right, let's get the next one in. Now we've got a proper full tile, we can put 2 leveling clips in the side now. That'll be fine. I'll spread the tile up again, 10mm ready to go. These are in place. Give it a good whack. You can use your mallet or a vibrating tool to really push them in if you feel they're not getting a good connection. With these 900s, it feels like they're connecting pretty good, so I'm not too worried about that at the moment. You can even start putting your spacer in properly at this point and remove them ones as well if you like. There we go. Try to make the grain match through. Obviously if you can match the grain up, then great. Sometimes on tiles they don't. Tiles sometimes have an arrow on them to show you which way they need to go. These ones in particular don't, they just have some writing, so I'm kind of following that and just trying to match the grain as much as possible. Great, that seems to fit very well. So. The leveling clips on. I much prefer these clips over the wedge system. I just feel like you have more control over spinners to release them off and on where you need them at hand. So they're better to get off, less messy. So I used the wedge system probably about 15 years ago last, and I haven't used them again since. And there's some better ones of these out these days as well, which I haven't actually tried yet, or I should do, but these have always worked so well that I haven't felt I need to change. Okay, so once again, that's in. Give her a check for level or flatness if you're not working straight. That's pretty good. Nice. That already is looking pretty damn good. Just look at the level going across the top. Show you here with this. So it's hard to pick these bubbles up on the camera, but you see that is spot on level, and you just want to look underneath to make sure you don't have any gaps. You can always wedge them up, like you can see here. There's the slightest little gap underneath the level end there, so that means I probably just need to pick that tile up just slightly on the wedge at the bottom, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. So now I'll show you how I'll mark and cut this corner cut. And I've already got the right one cut, so yeah, as soon as that one's cut, then I can complete this row, and then we're rocking. So the very first thing to do is to mark the maximum length of the tile. So that will be from this inner bit, as this bit will obviously be cut out. So you can just mark on your tape, and that's like 48.2. That's about the same there. So I'm going to cut 48.2 centimetres off. Get that cut first, and then I can look at notching around these bits. To be fair, the way that works out, it's only going to be the tiniest of notches off of that little bit there. But let's get it cut first to the side. I'll just show you, but this is obviously pretty self-explanatory. Edge of the tile, mark my 48.2. I use 2 marks just because on the Sigma cutter it's just a bit easier to see. That's the bit we want. It's just a bit easier to see the your marks based on the Sigma cutter. You can line it up at the top and the bottom. But I'll just show you that now and how to cut it. So this is my 900 Sigma cutter, which is perfect for tiles size. It cuts actually up to about 96 centimetres, I think, at its maximum. So anyway, but yeah, these cutters are brilliant. Like I've said in various videos, that when it comes to cutting porcelain tiles, even thick porcelain tiles, the mechanism is really good on them, and to be honest, you would never look back once you buy one. Anyway, so you got your centre mark up here. I'm lining that up there, and then just make sure you can see on the camera here. So, and on this other mark here, I just line it up to the right hand side of this bar, and that gets me about where I need to be. And I say with the 2 marks, it just makes it a bit easier on the Sigma cut, so you do this big bar that is in your way, but that's pretty good. Little scribe backwards. It's as easy as that. And that would get our bit marked to length. So, not the most difficult cut I'm showing you, I don't think it's going to be. Let's just get some levelling clips. It's also good with levelling clips when you're playing around with big tiles to use a bit of adhesive to make sure it stays there. To cover the tiles, just so you don't chip any edges as well when placing them in and around where you're going to be. I'll leave them on 2 for a minute. So, literally going to be the tiniest little notch out. So we're on line that way. You can see the bit of wood, so I can literally just do this with a pen. It's, you know, you can kind of guesstimate that a bit. This is all going to be siliconed once it's all finished as well, but yeah, you can just guesstimate the distance there that the tile is not touching there. It's going to be a maximum there, and that was, yeah, the silliest little notch, so I'm just going to pinch that off. If it is anything else, I'd use the angle grinder, but look, it's so so small that I'll just use my pinchers to shape it. May need a bit more than that, but that'll get us roughly where we need to be. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go, that's pretty good. On camera first time, so that's always nice. But yeah, you can see, I mean, I could take a little bit more out just for expansion. The tile's going to go over another millimetre anyway, but I mean, I think we'll take that. So that can be spread and chucked in as well now. Just spread that bit, just tuck some clips in. Let's see, there's a bit of a bow in the board up there, so I'm just going to add a bit more to that. There we go. Tile is spread and ready to go. Let's give her a whack, get some clips on her, and happy days. If you prefer these kind of videos, guys, to me overdubbing them, then let us know in the comments. It works both ways for me. Obviously it slows down my tiling a little bit doing these, but it saves me hours doing the vocal over the top of videos at home. So I would say all around these are quicker to make videos like this on the fly. But yeah, let us know which kind of style you prefer. Or if you don't prefer any comment is welcome. I do, I mean, various different types of bathrooms and every kind of tiling, and yeah, so I can't really say who I work for all the time, but we do a lot of celebrity bathrooms and whatsoever. It's generally quite nice work, and you know, I just hope that what I show you on here, which is the whole reason why I'm doing it, is to show you my methods on how I go about tiling for different scenarios. So every bathroom's different, every bathroom has different setouts, different tiles and different challenges, and that's the satisfying thing with tiling really is the end result. Right, she's looking pretty good. Again, I'll just give it a whack around in a minute and get a level on top and just make sure that's all great. But yeah, I mean, pretty happy with that. I'll just spread this bit up, chuck that one in with the mitre on it and the hole cut out. That's always a nice one to get in, and then yeah, we're moving up into the shower valve territory. Right, I'll have my sponge at the ready for this one, as this always gets a bit messy and tedious. Threading the wire through the hole, through the tile, always gets a bit messy. Okay. So far, so good. Tell you what, hand's not covered in adhesive at all. That's another good win for today. Let's get some spaces in there. And these squares, I would generally mark them on the face and then transfer that to the back of the tile and take them out. Just use your angle grinder, and sometimes you need to get in up here, and obviously you can't do that on the face because your score the tile, so it's better to mark squares on the back of the tile and then just whack them out. I'll try and show you that under something later. It's pretty easy, but it's, yeah, I mean, even on the front it's chipped a bit there, but it's fine because the face plate goes over that. There we go, that's all good. Like I say, she's a bit chipped, but the plate will come over here somewhere, so no dramas there. And now that is them 2 rows done. So now I can mark the shower control tile, I think, first before I spread anything else on this wall. I'll show you how I mark that and take the hole out. Then that's a nice height to get to. That's reached our half height. It's always nice when you get to this stage, the more tiles you put up, it starts really transforming the room, and you can start to see, especially with these, the grain coming out of the tiles. So yeah, it gets a bit more exciting the higher you go. So yeah, I'll show you how I mark this shower control and put this row on. Let's go from there. So first things first with the shower control is to get the plate out, make sure it doesn't have any knobbly bits on the back, and see what's covered. So I'll roughly line it up, draw around it. There we go, and now I've got some marks, so I know I can come in to there, just before there, ditto with that, same with that, same with that. There's no knobbly bits on the back, so I can sort of cut the tile to there, and it's all covered. So now I've got something to mark to. And again, I can just use some levelling clips to guide me as I go. Put a laser on it, that's handy for any kind of marking there. It's obviously going to be a U shape out of this. So, first things first, we've got our tile line up the side here. So I can do the side first by putting the tape on that line. And like I say, I'm just going to come inside a bit. Inside a bit, so they call it that. Just making sure it's definitely covered enough. Yeah, it's good. And then for the height, move that along. We could just call that 29 centimetres to be perfectly covered. So moving back to the tile, just try and bring that there. That works just. And then on the tape you've got our mark, so we'll just go mark, mark. It's going to be somewhere around there. I'm going to go 29 up. Yeah. Perfect. Get a level or something straight. Cool, that's the first bit. And then we just need to mark for the hole, which we do in a similar way. Again, if we come to our line, and we're just on the inside, aren't we? So that's 10 and a half. Maybe we're 13 and a half. Just mark. Then marks on the tile. And then upright. You do this on the top or on the bottom, whatever. But we call that 41.2 to 44. So, and just to show you back on the tile. So that's 41.2 41.2 to 44, isn't it? So 41.2 is about there. Doesn't need to be massively accurate, but you know, as long as it's there or thereabouts, the whole cutter will make it a little bit bigger. You can use a set square here or something straight. I'm use my leveler that's right beside me. Draw a little box on the tile. Should just be able to get that out without breaking that bit off. And then we have a 30mm hole cutter that goes on the angle grinder. 30mm, they come in all different sizes, but these are the best hole cutters you can get, especially going on the angle grinder. It's got a lot of power. Right, I'll just draw around that as a rough guide. And we can see where our hole's going to be. And there we go, we've got our U shape if you like, for that bottom half of that. There's our hole we're going to take out for that. So we're going to take them bits out and she'll be good to go. Right, enjoy the sea view here guys. I'm just going to go ahead and smash this cut out as quickly as I can. Right, I'll just check it first to make sure she fits. The box should be fine, it's just making sure the hole's okay. To be fair, it's not my best hole in the world, I may just take a little bit more bad marking out of that, but it'll be fine. Once it's covered, I'll just try and show you. I'm just going to take a little bit more out that side there, but it'll be covered by the flange, but yeah, not my best hole, but there we go. But yeah, I'll just go back with the hole cutter and just take a little nib just so it fits, but just so the plumbers have enough play with their pipe, something like that out. The flange would be like something like that around it, so there's plenty of play. So yeah, that's pretty good. So get that in, spread that up, and that'll be the third row done. And I must try and show a difficult cut, so I'll probably get that lot fixed, and then I'll come back to that cut just to show marking around that. And I think that'll probably be that for today, and then I can do another one tomorrow on the recess or whatsoever, if that helps you guys. Cool. Right guys, I've just gone ahead and stuck them two in. I took a little bit more out that hole, so the plumber will be happy with me. So now I'm going to show you how I would cut this cut. I've cut the tile to size like we did earlier, just marked it off of there to there. And then we've got this notch around here and here to take out for it to fit. So I'll plonk the camera down and I'll show you how I mark it. So first things first, I'm going to mark that distance there where it needs to be cut. So that is 47.4, and we'll mark that on the tile. 47.4. Then we can mark the square bit here. Call that 46.7. Just bring the camera down so you can see the tile as well. So that 46.7 mark. There, mark that there. Mark that there. We know that's the straight bit of the wood. So yeah, so that bit there, that bit there, we've got the bottom notch marked on the tile down there as well. So we know that needs to come out. Then we need to really mark these two bits here. You can do that with tape or holding it. I'm just going to put the tile in place to do that. So let's bring her in on the spacer. And so we know we've got a bit out there, a bit out there. I'll mark this quite tight to start with as well, so I'll know that first fit it probably won't fit, but I'd rather take some out of the tile, so that's how I start. And then with these other little notches, we can just start marking where they come in. This one here, I'll do that for that, but I'll mark it properly on it. And this bottom one, just marking the centre of that so we can shape around this. Okay, that'll do for now. And just this top one, also just put it on the top here, and my marker isn't too bad to be fair. So let's draw our straight line through, which is through here, down the net. So that's a set square just to make sure that's relatively accurate. So that's that one, that's that one. So that is the box out. And then down the bottom with the shape, we've marked that bit. We know the tile is going to be cut off from there. And then that is going to just go down. That's a bit shit marking, that's just mark again. 47.5. My pen's exploding here, so 47.5. That's where it will come off. And it goes like that, and then it's going to go out like this, and something like that. That'll be good enough for that. And then the top one, I just normally like to look at it like I know it's got a little notch that goes in there, goes up by about that. We know that's the centre mark of where it goes in, so it's about there. And we know from this part, it kind of comes out in a little bit, something like that. So I'll mark it quite tight, and then I'll prefer to come back to it with my pen and then mark it a bit more accurately. So I'm just going to quickly buzz that off with the angle grinder. I literally just scribe this bit, angle grind these two bits, pinch this off and just notch that out. And I'll come back with how it comes out. Right, let's have a look. Like I say, I haven't cut it to actually fit straight away. I'm just hoping I'll just take some more out of it to get it a bit more accurate if it's there or thereabouts. So let's offer it up and see where we're at. And then we can just start to properly mark what needs to come out. It's not too far off. Once these notches come out, make sure I don't take that out. It's going to be there or thereabouts. So just basically I've marked with blue pen. Just need to take them bits out. It should be pretty good. So I'll just quickly go and whip that out. That should start getting into shape where it needs to be. Not quite yet. What we got then? So there's nothing there. So it's that little nubble there. Take that out of there. That goes in. That should be. It's a bit more like that. That's it. A bit more on that. No, okay. Take 3. I'm confident this is going to fit, so oh, just might take a little bit more than a bit, but I think that'll be fine. So that's not too bad. It's literally just on the limit, but I may just take a little bit more off. But there we go. That is how I marked and cut that. And so it's pretty neat, and it's going to be siliconed anyway around there. But yeah, that's how I cut around tricky little architrave bits of wood and whatsoever. Good. So I think that will do for today. I'm going to stick that one in. Stick that one in. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but obviously these I'll cut all the same. So I've got a mark at 55. That'll be the whole way up, and I'll just mitre each one as they go from there. And then I'll make a video on the recess. It's got an LED strip at the top of that as well, and some mosaic, and just any cuts around it, and some trim work's always quite helpful for people. But I hope you've got a good idea from this video on how I go about tiling, especially with these large format tiles, and what I do to make sure they're solid, stuck to the wall and level. And say once you've got that bottom course good, like we did earlier, from then on check it with your level, but you're pretty good that you can just keep going up and up. It's got high ceilings in this one because it's a period house. And say I'll get that wall done, then I'll set out this wall as I go. I'll just make it look like the tile continues around. Worry about that wall later. But yeah, great. Well, I hope this video helped, guys. I'll pin the video of me setting this out in the description as well, and stay tuned for the next video, which will probably be on that recess. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.